Team Trackhouse is a little off their game, and their star driver appears to be growing impatient. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. With NASCAR heading to Kansas Speedway this weekend, let's talk about the most recent Kansas winner, Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain has an impressive 8.7 average finish at Kansas in the next-gen era. That's fourth best in the Cup Series. He's also led over 100 laps there the past few years. This is a huge weekend for Ross Chastain, a huge opportunity for the driver who, frankly, is carrying Team Trackhouse thus far. 11 races into the 2025 season, Ross Chastain is 11th in the Cup Series points with 6 top 10 finishes, while his teammates are 25th and 35th in points with 4 combined top 10 finishes. The past few months, Ross has watched rival Chevy team Spire Motorsports close the gap considerably. 22-year-old Carson Hocevar, who once looked at Ross Chastain as a mentor of sorts, already has 50 stage points this year to Ross's 19. Maybe it's simply an ECR versus Hendrick engines thing, but either way, Trackhouse clearly does not have the speed they've had in years past. And now, in his 4th year with the organization, Ross Chastain is comfortable calling it out. After grinding his way to a second-place finish last week at Texas, Ross Chastain called the team's unload speed terrible and expanded on those thoughts this week on SiriusXM radio. We've been off. It's no secret. We're not sugarcoating it, not to ourselves or anybody. Consistently, we need to see some light in the tunnel. It's pretty dark on Saturdays right now. Ross continued on. It's not lost on me that not long ago, I would have been really happy with these performances, but we've elevated ourselves at Trackhouse and with Chevrolet to a spot where we're not okay with struggling at any part of these weekends, especially when it's repeated, I'll say failures, on Saturday. We're not going to stand for that. A strong message from Ross Chastain. His Trackhouse teammate Daniel Suarez has echoed those sentiments in recent weeks and months. Ross Chastain is as blue-collar as it gets in the NASCAR Cup Series nowadays. From his family's watermelon farm in Florida to the top levels of American motorsports, it has been quite the tumultuous journey. Only 7-8 years ago, he was racing at gettY Motorsports, elevating that team, turning that small operation into an Xfinity Series playoff contender. Chip Ganassi took notice. Ross won almost immediately in Chip Ganassi equipment. From there, he wound up at Colleague Racing, made the championship 4. He was a rebel without a cause. Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin. He was beefing with the right people because it proved Ross Chastain could run up front and race with the best of the best. Did he overstep sometimes? Yes, absolutely. Does he still overstep from time to time? Yes, sure. But his whole career, he's been fast, he's been scrappy, literally fighting at times to earn respect, to earn a stable NASCAR job. And finally, in 2022, he got it with Team Trackhouse. And that first year, they almost won the Cup Series championship. Since then, he's become a fan favorite. He's landed a blue chip sponsor, Busch Light, appeared in their regional Super Bowl commercial this year. He is also the most consistent winner Trackhouse has, and he knows it. I think Ross Chastain knows he's really, really good. There was a time, sure, when he was younger where you maybe could argue his equipment was better than he was, but now that he's gained experience, matured in some ways, I think the tables have turned. Now, I think it's Ross that is carrying that equipment to finishes, results they have no business getting. A great example was Texas this past weekend. That was not a top 5 car, did not earn a single stage point all day long, but the race ended with restart after restart after restart, overtime. Grant, aka Auto Racing Analytics, you may follow him on Twitter. He's a great friend of the show, and he noted this past weekend that Ross Chastain has net gained more positions on restarts than anyone this season by far. He also has the best position retention rate on restarts. That's just further proof that Ross gets up on the wheel. He's more daring than most, willing to make those big moves, and most of the time he makes it stick. Auto Racing Analytics is a good friend of the show. He also did a great YouTube video that I'll link down in the description below just before Texas, where he looked back at the 2024 season, took every Cup team's 10 fastest pit stops on the year, took the average, and found that Ross only had the 27th fastest pit crew last season. His teammate Daniel Suarez, meanwhile, was ranked up in the top 5. So the pit crew isn't amazing. The raw speed out of Trackhouse right now is not amazing. With some of the comments Ross has made in the past few days, I honestly wonder if he saw that Auto Racing Analytics video and maybe came to a realization and said, damn, I gotta be more outspoken than I've been thus far. I'm just saying. Ross Chastain's Trackhouse contract is not public information. We do know that just before the 2023 season, over 2 years ago, he signed a multi-year extension. We know it obviously runs at least through 2025. Perhaps it runs through 2026. Kubota recently signed a sponsorship deal with Trackhouse through 2027, but we don't know exactly what the terms of Ross's contract look like. I imagine he would love to stay at Trackhouse because they have won races together and did come extremely close to collecting a Cup championship a few years back. But this is a tough business, and I think maybe for the first time in his career, Ross realizes he brings real value to the table. If Trackhouse can't get their cars faster, more competitive, I'm sure Ross will consider other opportunities should they be available. It's interesting to me because a few years ago, Trackhouse was the team that was giving these drivers their big break. Like Daniel Suarez, the way his JGR and then Stewart-Haas tenure ended, he was in limbo, had no home, and then Trackhouse came along and gave him refuge, gave him a brilliant opportunity. Daniel needed Trackhouse in 2021, 2022. Ross Chastain with Chip Ganassi, bought out by Trackhouse. He needed an opportunity. Trackhouse gave him a big opportunity. But now, like I said earlier, in some ways the tables have turned. You could argue Trackhouse needs Ross Chastain more than Ross needs Trackhouse right now. The past few years, Trackhouse has been seen as a destination. I hope that narrative isn't changing. That's why I talk about Kansas Speedway this weekend. Ross Chastain was really fast at Kansas a year ago. He was even faster in the fall race, got that win late. This weekend is a huge opportunity for this team to begin steering the ship in the right direction. Because Chastain finished second at Texas and is in a good points position, he'll get a good qualifying draw. So he should be able to start this race well. His race numbers at Kansas are obviously fantastic. I mentioned the average finish, the recent victory. This weekend is a huge opportunity. He doesn't have to win, although a win would be awesome. They just need to show that they're capable of turning that corner. Good qualifying draw means there's no excuse for them qualifying bad on Saturday. They need to get a good starting spot. If they do that, I have faith that Ross and crew chief Phil Surgeon will make the right calls, will make the right moves on Sunday to get a very good result. But just kind of interesting. Ross Chastain and even Daniel Suarez to a degree have become a bit more outspoken recently about the apparent lack of consistent speed at Trackhouse. I think the rise of Spire Motorsports, Carson Hocevar just sat on the pole. Michael McDowell almost won last weekend. I think that has fans questioning the Chevy pecking order. It's Hendrick for sure, but then we thought maybe it was Trackhouse or RCR. Spire may have leapfrogged them both. I do think the different Chevy engines could be a serious discrepancy here. Hendrick and Spire run Hendrick engines, while RCR, Trackhouse, Colleague run ECR engines. They all are Chevy engines, and supposedly the past few years they've begun sharing notes, but they don't come out of the exact same shop. Hendrick engines come out of one building, ECR out of a different building. That's not the case with Ford and Toyota. All the Ford engines come from Roush Yates. All the Toyota engines, TRD. Chevy, it's split up, and I think we're seeing perhaps a difference in speed right now between the Hendrick engines and the ECR engines. Is that something Trackhouse can overcome like they did in 2022, 2023? Only time will tell. Lots to watch for this weekend at Kansas. Huge weekend for Ross Chastain in particular. Okay, how about some fun tidbits to wrap up this episode? I was listening to the NASCAR-sponsored Hauler Talk podcast featuring NASCAR Communications Director Mike Ford, who discussed that one of the items on the agenda for this upcoming drivers-only meeting at Kansas Speedway is the possibility of increasing horsepower maybe for 2026. He made it sound like going from around 670 to 750 by next year is on the table, is something that NASCAR and its many partners are openly considering. He said that into a microphone just like this and broadcast it out into the entire world with NASCAR's blessing, I should say. So, something to keep in mind. I can already see the comments. They should go to 900, 1,000 horsepower. I think we need to be somewhat realistic. Doug Yates of the aforementioned Roush Yates Motors was on the radio last week saying, hey, 750, we could do that, no real issue. But 900, 1,000, then you're talking about reliability issues. Costs could go up significantly. I know we're tired of talking about cost cutting, cost savings, but it is a reality, and 750 at least is moving the needle. Upping the horsepower alone is not going to solve all of our problems at short tracks, especially. The cars still have too much tire, too much grip. The underbody is a concern, but upping the horsepower is undeniably a step, I believe, in a more positive direction. The cars are so equal now. Drivers all get to see the same data. The drivers are more equal than ever. Increasing the horsepower, decreasing the grip, whatever you can do adds more variability lap to lap, will ultimately lead to more mistakes, more passing opportunities, and I believe better racing. So anyway, just wanted to share that tidbit. Shout out to the Hauler Talk podcast. I also saw this on Twitter. It was NASCAR Man on Twitter, good follow, tweeted out that USA Today released their annual top 10 tracks in NASCAR as voted on by race fans. Apparently, for the second straight year, Pocono Raceway was voted the #1 best track in NASCAR. Watkins Glen second. Yep, I've heard great things. I have not been personally. Chicago Street Race, it is extremely unique. Las Vegas, a little surprising to see that in the top 5. The Neon Garage infield experience still holds up pretty well. And Atlanta, yeah, I mean the racing at New Atlanta has been wildly entertaining. You cannot deny that. My take on this list is that it's more about the overall fan experience, the amenities, than it is the on-track racing product. Pocono's been an enjoyable race the past few years, I'd say, but it's not a top 5 racing product on the schedule. I don't think so. But having been to Pocono a few years back, I can speak to the incredible atmosphere that they create. It's an independently owned track. They do a phenomenal job, especially now that they get one date a year. They do it up huge. They do it up big, great crowds every summer. I can believe Pocono being high on this list. No doubt, great fan experience. Again, I don't think this list is really about the racing product. For example, Kansas Speedway's not in the top 10. Bristol is in the top 10. New Hampshire being at number 6. Like, the racing at New Hampshire is nothing to write home about, but I've heard great things about the fan experience. They call it the Magic Mile for that reason. Click the link down below to check out the full top 10 list and hear the fans' explanations as to why each track is ranked where they are. If I were to rank my top 5 tracks based on fan experience and a little bit the racing, let me think about this. Oh man, I do really love Daytona. It's a world-class facility, plenty of amenities nearby. I'm a fan of the greater Central Florida area, and the racing is a spectacle at the very least. I'd put Daytona in my top 5. I probably would put the Chicago Street Race in the top 5. I mean, you're racing in the center of one of the biggest cities in the world. Last year, I stayed a few blocks away from the track, could just walk down Michigan to get to the front gate. World-class food on every block. I stopped at a Starbucks one morning, and everyone in there was like from a NASCAR pit crew. It was surreal. The crowd in each section of the track gets really into it when stuff happens, at least the 2 years I've been, my experience. So I'd put that in the top 5 for sure. The sensation of Bristol is awesome. Last time I went, I was not overly impressed with the facility. Kansas should be in the top 5 of tracks I've been to for sure. I would probably put Pocono in there for the broader fan experience. Oh, I'm going to make people angry because I got to leave some good tracks off the list. Martinsville's really cool. I've been to Vegas. It's fine. It's nice. Texas this past weekend, great barbecue at the track if you saw my video. Coda is a world-class facility. Austin's a cool town. Phoenix is pretty good. Darlington's old school. Talladega's nice. I have not been to Atlanta. That's like a track that for some reason I've just not been to for whatever reason, so I can't speak to Atlanta. I listed a few. Let me know what track I'm missing. What track should make up my 5th spot in terms of overall fan experience, amenities, You can note the racing a little bit, sure. Let me know, what track am I leaving off? I've heard great things about Dover, haven't been. Watkins Glen is one track I've not been to that's very high on my list. It's probably the next track I would love to go visit that I've not been to before. So let me know what I'm missing out on. Leave a comment down below. That's gonna do it for this episode, folks. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more NASCAR content every single day, all year long. Big thank you to my very generous Patreon supporters as well for going above and beyond to support what we do. Have a great night, folks. I will talk to you again soon. Thanks again for watching.